Welcome to Escaping the Echo Chamber. Are you ready to think outside the box? Are you ready to escape the echo chamber? Because that's where we are right now, outside of the echo chamber. This one, I've seen people talking about it. I've seen some takes, and this is going to be a good one because what I'm realizing is, like, I had done a poll on the channel a couple of weeks ago about what issues are most potentially detrimental to the Black community, and gender war, diaspora war, um, college debt, and voting rights were the four things. The two topics that came out with the most votes were gender war and diaspora war. This story combines elements of both the diaspora war and the gender war, because you have a Nigerian um, Black man who's in America now, but he's has a white girlfriend, is killed by his white girlfriend, and social media stuff comes up about stuff he said about Black women, about Black Americans. So it's like, okay, wow, this is interesting because like this is now the convergence of these two elements, and the reactions I'm seeing of a bunch of people. So of course, Tariq Nasheed, where Tariq Nasheed went with it. He was like, "Oh, really?" And then Tariq Nasheed posted some stuff that he had said, but there were some other people that came forward and was like, no, this is a situation that we need to be concerned about. This is a Black man that was killed. Justice needs to be done. So let's talk about it. Um, Welcome, PJ. Welcome. In fact, let me see what PJ's saying. What happened to him is sad, but he disrespected Black women several times. So no, Black women shouldn't be on the front lines protesting for him because this is not our fight. Okay. Okay. When some Black women got killed by white men dudes, were clowning them, said they deserved it, and labeled them divestors with no proof, yet Black women are supposed to protest for a dude that hated them. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. We're going to get into all of this. Again, it's sad what happened, but this is what happens when you choose preference over substance. Okay, like listen, BJ, it's clear. You've made your position clear, and I get it. I get what you're saying, and like I thought this was going to be basically the sentiment across the board, but I have seen some other perspectives. So I saw some other perspectives, and I listened to these other perspectives, and I said, okay, I think we need to discuss this so that we can, look at the different sides. Of course, just to recap, Christian Obumseli is no, I'm not getting the name right. I know I'm not pronouncing it right, but that's his name. They called him Toby. So in fact, yeah, for ease, we'll call him Toby, and it's somewhat fitting. So Toby was dating this young lady by the name of Courtney Clenny. So that's her, from what that's her real name. She goes by Courtney Taylor. Um, Only she has an OnlyFans page. She's got large following on Instagram. They said she got like over 2 million followers on Instagram, and the cops get called to her apartment. From what the report said, it was her apartment. Cops get called, and he's been stabbed. They take him to the hospital, and on the way there, he dies. He passes away. And so the question, so at that point, it's like, okay, yeah, she stabbed him. How much time is she looking at? Well, that's the interesting thing because she wasn't arrested. Uh, she was they did Baker Act her, so they sent her to a mental health facility for treatment. According to her lawyer, she needed to go to the mental health center because she was like distraught over the situation. But what they're claiming is that this was self-defense. They're claiming that this is self-defense and he attacked her. Correction, she's claiming this is self-defense. So she and her lawyer are claiming this was self-defense. He attacked her and she was defending herself. The cops at this point have not arrested her, and his family is not pleased about this. And I get it. The question is, okay, if she says he attacked her, he's dead, is the extent of policing now that, hey, did you do it? No. Okay. Are you sure? Yes. Yes, you did it? No. Yes, I'm sure I didn't do it. We almost had you. Okay, have a good day. Like, is that the extent of policing today? Because it would seem that you would have to conduct some type of investigation before you just take somebody's word for it that this is what happened. But this isn't the first time we've seen that. In fact, there was a young black woman who was killed, a couple of months ago, and the white guy who she was with calls the cops and says, yeah, she's dead. And they're like, oh, well, you're a nice guy. You can go. We won't be needing to talk to you further. And her family was upset, reasonably so. But now there's people that are saying, okay, listen, look what he said about black women. So let's actually take a look. James, welcome to the stream. Let's actually take a look at what he said about black women, because he had some tweets, and I'm like, hey, let's see what the tweets say. Okay, so let's well, first, this is him expressing his love, his admiration, his absolute obsession with white women and white girls at this point, because I'm guessing he was, so if he's 20, he was like 28, so this would have been when he was about 18 or so. Yeah, so he's got a lot of he's very into white women. Now here's what he's saying about black women. Full of ignorant black women. There's that word that we've spoken about. In fact, we specifically talked about whether or not that word is used, and here we have an individual who's using that word. Interesting. Why is there always that one ghetto black boy in the back talking throughout class? Get out. The way black girls disgrace themselves on TV. Once again, I am tired of these black girls in my government class. Okay. So at this point, people are looking at him like, what kind of time is he on? And yeah, I get it. Once he's making these kind of statements, it's got to be like, okay, so you've got clearly a lot of love for white women and a lot of disdain, a lot of disrespect, a lot of smoke for black people, black women. Okay, if that's the way you feel, the mindset is, if that's the way you feel, cool. Like, it is what it is. Like, we don't have to get angry about it. We don't have to have a whole bunch of we don't have to argue. If that's the way you feel, you're over there. If you want to divest, because like that's what divestment is. If you want to separate from the community, separate from the community. But now he's dead, and now his family is looking at it as if, hey, like, something's got to be done. What's up, James? The fact that he said black girls disrespect themselves on TV, yet he that's a really interesting point. Don't glorify trash white behavior, yet bash your race when they do the same. That's, I mean, yeah. So like, how are you dating? And for years, because they were dating for years. This wasn't just they didn't just meet yesterday. They were dating for years, and she's an OnlyFans model, and just seemed to have like that's a really good point that BJ made. You've got none of that smoke for her behavior, about her disgracing herself, about her being trashy, about her no smoke about that. But then you had the audacity to tweet that about Black women disrespecting themselves on TV. That's a really interesting point. The interesting thing is about okay, wait. It's okay to have a preference, but it's another thing to be a sellout and on your own race to impress another. And that's the point, because there are plenty of people who may have interracial, may be interracially married, maybe interracially dating, and they still have a connection to the Black community. They still show love for the Black community, and they're not constantly just taking a dump on the Black community. But when you've got these posts from him, see, there is let me talk about one of the defenses I've heard for him. Because if you take a look at these tweets, it's 2022 now. (2012, 2013, 2011, 12, 12, 2012, 2012, 2012, 2012, 2011. Okay, so these is some years ago, like 10 years ago. He's about what, 28? He was about 28. So he would have been about 17, 18 then. That was some time ago. But so like the defense people was like, well, he was in high school then, he was in school then, he's a kid making stupid statements. And I said, you know what? I hear you. I hear that when he was a kid, he said some stupid stuff. And I hear what you're saying, that doesn't necessarily mean he believes it now. However, look at who his girlfriend was, one. And two, where are his tweets that would show that his mindset, his current mindset, is different from his previous mindset? Because in all of the defenses of him, nobody came out and said, see, look, this is what he's posted lately. Like, this is what he posted in 2020. This is what he posted in 2021. This is what he posted in 2022. There was none of these tweets were brought forward. None of that information was brought forward. None of that was presented to say, see, look, you got it all wrong. He's changed. Like, he was stupid then. He was on some other stuff. He saw, he woke up, got wise to his ways, and look what his latest position was. None of that evidence has been offered. None of that. Nobody has, like, his family. They said his family was on some show, and they were talking, like his childhood friends. They said he had childhood friends talking about and defending him, that he didn't have hatred for Black people, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. If these are childhood friends, did did this disdain happen after your friendships? And once again, do you have any? Because like his social media history is telling us one thing. Nobody is providing social media history from him saying, see, this is him with a different position. This is him with a different outlook. This is him showing, demonstrating, and making it clear that he's not that clown that was saying that stupid stuff about Black people. Nobody said that. And that's when I look at, I'm like, okay, so if you're saying he changed, you got to actually have some evidence that he changed, because his current behavior seems to indicate that he is exactly where he was before. Exactly where he was before. And it's interesting that you talk about. It's interesting. I wanted to actually take another look at Courtney. So Courtney, um, Courtney's an interesting character. As we stated, Courtney was not arrested, but they said Courtney felt really bad. She felt traumatized, and so she needed to be checked into a mental health facility. But then there's footage of her, playing with the dog, and they said there's like footage of her playing with the dog while she's covered with his blood. Then there's footage of her or pictures of her like clubbing, hanging out. They say she even did she did some streams like either that night or the next night. And it's like, okay, the behavior that we're witnessing from this young woman doesn't actually, coincide with this claim that she's traumatized. Seems like she's gotten over this really quickly. There's more though. Turns out that Courtney had actually been on Fresh and Fit. So she was on Fresh and Fit, and correction, it wasn't Fresh and Fit. It was like a Fresh and Fit type guy. Because the guy that she was talking to, but she was on some like podcast, and she tells the host of the show, yeah, I have a thing for black guys. I only date black guys. And he's like, okay. And then she says, okay, let me just clarify. I only date rich black guys. Now, and somebody had pointed out that that people may have thought that, oh wow, yeah, see, shows she had love and respect for black people. Like, no, because that key point was, I only date rich black guys, indicates that she was those are her marks. Rich black guys. The operative word there to pay attention to is rich. So she's after the money of black guys, and for black guys to be cool with that, like that's something that you have to stop and look at. Like, what type of black guy would be cool with this woman who's just saying, I'll take a black guy's money. I'll finesse a black guy for his money, like all day long. But here we have Christian Toby, who apparently had no problem with her philosophy of exclusively finessing black men out of their money. No problem with it whatsoever. Let me look at these comments. He also made a tweet about black women as late as 2020. I'm guessing it's a negative tweet. Because it's like I know his family hasn't come out with that particular tweet. Hey Kenny, welcome to the stream. This reminds me of the guy that was on social media talking about white people are good and how there's no such thing as police brutality. That's definitely one of the cases that came to my mind, and how white people were the only ones good to him, and then he gets killed by the police. Absolutely, I remember that story. In fact, in the time that happens, he's like trying to shake a cop's hand, like the cop, like he's trying to basically lick the cop's boots right then and there, and the cop winds up killing him during the process. And it's like, wow, this is really amazing. Also, if he actually felt bad about the tweets, he should have deleted them or apologized. Exactly. Up until the day he died, we have no evidence that he had any disagreement with them. He didn't delete them. No apologies for them. Nothing. We seen none of that. Oh yeah, escaping. She is on OnlyFans, so she throwing that butter around on the internet for money. Christian was out of pocket for those tweets. Like, bro, your girl probably twerking too. Exactly. At minimum. She's twerking at minimum. By the way, one man, sorry for being no. Welcome to the stream. Just glad to have everyone here. Was watching some of the messed up videos on YouTube. Yeah. In fact, I'm gonna hit some topics about that before we end the stream today, because there's gonna be, like, whether he's alive or dead right now, and I have a hunch that he's dead already. Whether at the hands of police or at the hands of himself, I'm not sure, but I have a hunch he's already dead. But there's gonna be repercussions behind it. In other words, this is definitely wider implications. So we're gonna be getting into that in a little bit. Oh yeah, there's video of her hanging out and some people calling her out on killing her boyfriend, and she ran out. Yes, I did see that video. Yeah. Courtney Taylor reminds me of Gabby Petito, low-key, cute girl with some mental issues, probably psychotic. And so this is the thing. So like the way they phrased it about her being sent for mental health treatment was almost as if that's the defense. But like, you have to make a decision. Was it self-defense, or does she have mental issues? You have to, like, and either way, the cops do your job, conduct the arrest, and then let the investigation play out. But this whole of, oh, we're just going to take her word for it is some ridiculous nonsense. But once again, what we're going to get into shortly, where the what the calls are for now, what the energy is now behind what the cops are doing. Yep, it's all about the money for some. And Christian had no problem with her fetishizing him and using him for cash. Exactly. Jeezy is with Jeannie Mai, who straight up fetishized black men and said she wanted dark meat on the side. Does he care? No. Yeah, Kenny. But yeah, so the whole thing is, because the question is Christian a divester? And I'm gonna say, yeah, I think he is. Based on his, like, he's got these multiple posts just praising the greatness of white women. Then he's got posts downing black women. This dude is a male divester. So if this dude is a male divester, why would I somehow decide that he needs different treatment, or he is deserving of different treatment than female divestors? Well, I mean, we've already established that this divestment movement, this gender war, and the nonsense that's going around with it is a tremendous threat to the black community, because you've got people out here that are spreading lies about black women, about black men, about claiming that black women are loose, that black men are lazy. These are the kinds of things that are being claimed. All kinds of negative stereotypes being pushed about black men. All kinds of negative stereotypes being pushed about black women. And these are black faces pushing these lies. And the fact that you have black faces pushing these lies presents a problem, because now this is what a lot of scumbags will then use. Will then say, "Oh, look, well, I didn't say it. A black person said it, so it must be true." And it creates a huge problem in that it furthers this message. It furthers these toxic messages and these lies about black people. So, and once again, considering how this woman had a lot of followers, 2 million followers on Instagram. So, like, this relationship between him and her, this wasn't like he's just nobody knows who he is. Like, there's some significant influence here. So if you're using influence to push lies about black people, and specifically about black women. Okay, you're the male version. You're a divester. You're a male version of these. Like we see these women on YouTube who are just making stuff up about black men, and who will find cherry pick for stories of some black guy doing something crazy, and then say, "See, this is what black men are." And then we see him doing the same thing with regards to black women. Black women are disrespecting themselves, are embarrassing themselves, are embarrassing black people, and I like that point that you made about, well, your girlfriend is an OnlyFans model. Like, how do you fix your mouth to say that black women are embarrassing themselves or disrespecting themselves, and your girlfriend that you've been with for years is an OnlyFans model? How do you fix your mouth to say that? But because she's white, suddenly it's not embarrassing for her. She's not embarrassing white women. She's not embarrassing herself. She's nothing about her behavior is untoward. But when a black woman does something, not even doing OnlyFans, like just twerking or something, like that's an embarrassment. So this dude was pushing negative information, negative stereotypes, just lies about black people. That's a problem. Pushing these negative lies, what he's actually doing is worsening the climate that black people have to live in. And I've talked about this so many times, how these stereotypes have real world effects. So if you're pushing stereotypes about black women being promiscuous, about being uh loose, and they just sleep with anybody and stuff like that. So now when a black woman comes forward and says that she was violated, how does she get treated? People that believe those lies say, she's lying. She's making stuff up. These black chicks are. Now, conversely, when they're spreading lies about black men being violent, thugs, just monsters, out of control, how does that happen? How does that affect when a black dude is in an altercation? So now the cops come, and if the black dude says, "Okay, I was defending myself," no, you're black. You're the aggressor. We know how your type are. Y'all are like, you'll get angry and you'll just start, wilding out. You're out of control. You can't be the one defending yourself. You must be the aggressor. And so that same mentality applies when you get stabbed by your white girlfriend, and then she just has to say, "Oh, he attacked me." And those negative stereotypes, those lies that you have been telling about black people come right back on you. And the cops are like, "Oh, well, he's black. You're telling us he was the aggressor, and we know how these black guys are. So don't worry. Don't worry your pretty little head. You're fine. Do you want us to get you some water? Do you want us to get you something to drink? Do you need a ride anywhere? Do you need laundry service? Is there anything we can do to make up for the inconvenience of you having to kill this animal? Is there anything we can do for you?" Like that's the climate. Your stupidity, his stupidity, and the lies that he said. That's the climate he created for himself. He actually created the perfect storm, the perfect situation for his murder to go ignored, to be completely ignored by the authorities. And so we're not even talking about, it's like it's beyond irony. It's beyond irony. When the victim is black and the suspect is white, The victim is most likely getting no justice. We're seeing this over and over again. What Jason Pope did is crazier. Welcome, Lido. I'm not sure who Jason Pope is. I'm not sure who that is. Let me just see. Okay, human trafficking. So Jason Pope was doing human trafficking. I got to look up. I got to read some more about that case. I hadn't heard about it. Florence's DJ Kid intimidate trafficking victims. Okay. the but so we're at a situation where the cops have just apparently appear to have just taken her word for it. His family is clearly upset, as they should be. Christian's family has come out and they've, in fact, I'm going to share some of the stuff they've said. So, in fact, I'll start with what his brother. No. Okay, so his brother went on Instagram, and so his brother says, as a family, we strongly disagree with the ignorant and repulsive tweets from my then high school age brother that have recently surfaced. However, the tweets do not diminish our demand for a thorough investigation into Toby's murder or negate the necessity for justice. So now listen, he's right. As his brother, of course you got it. Of course you care. And it doesn't change your fight to get him justice. He's your brother. I'm guessing you're still on good terms. You had love for each other. And now that somebody has killed your brother and the cops appear to be doing nothing for you, I understand wholeheartedly why you're fighting for your brother. Absolutely understand wholeheartedly. It's been a week since my brother was brutally and senselessly killed. Courtney Taylor Clenny's callous actions have not been met with an ounce of remorse. Okay. Not an ounce of remorse. And now that's the thing that's really kind of interesting about this. Like, this woman has just showed despite these claims, oh, she's traumatized, she needed to get some mental health treatment. Like, we're not seeing any of that. We're not seeing not even, she's not even missing a beat in her activity. Like people are seeing her partying, that she's doing her stream, just like nothing happened. Like nothing happened. And clearly the family noticed it. But you don't think the cops notice it? Or do the cops just not care either? We've seen videos of Courtney kissing her dogs while covered in what we believe to be my brother's blood and casually getting drinks at a hotel bar days later while my brother lays in the morgue. Like, it's it's like this. So even if you just look at the instant of the cops coming on the scene, this dude has gotten stabbed, and she's admitting she stabbed him. Yeah, I did it. Oh, but it was self-defense. Even if the cops are going to say in that moment, even if in that moment they'll say, okay, we think she actually was defending herself. How they ignore her behavior after that is insane. Like, how they just completely ignore everything she does after that is like y'all don't see this? Like, y'all don't see all the stuff she's doing afterwards, like just not giving a damn. Not at all, not even an iota of a damn. but y'all don't see this. The bottom line is inextricably clear. Courtney is being treated differently because of her privilege as a wealthy white woman. Now, this is the interesting thing. His brother, at this point, his brother appears to realize that like white privilege exists. At this point, his brother appears to realize the different treatment that black people get in this country and white people get in this country. And this instant and this moment, his brother seems to realize the benefit of the doubt that white people are given that black people aren't given. In this instant, the brother seems to realize that, yeah, like if oh, you're white, that's your story. Okay, we can trust it. I don't know if his brother felt that way prior to this happening. I don't know. What we do have evidence is that Toby himself, Christian, did not like was chose to be oblivious to these realities prior to his death. He chose to be completely oblivious to the existence of these disparities. In fact, he chose to weigh in doubling down on these disparities in his own viewpoint, which is like really, really, that's really interesting. Um, Within 24 hours following Toby's death, the detective on the case prematurely concluded this was not a crime of violence. He got stabbed to death. It's not a crime of violence? Are you like this is what um but the information provided is deficient and the lack of transparency strongly suggests foul play is involved. Courtney acknowledges that Toby did not have a weapon. So, by the way, that's another thing that's interesting because if he didn't have a weapon, like how do you justify using deadly force? For example, if you just take a look at that white kid in Wisconsin with the gun, Kyle Rittenhouse. Even though in that instance there were people that were armed, there's still a standard of proof to determine whether or not lethal force is justified. In this case, the cops have chosen we're not even gonna look any further into weighing whether or not lethal force was justified, whether or not any physical contact, like even if there was a domestic dispute, even if he was the aggressor, there's still a matter of the use of lethal force. They've ignored that as well. She has no injuries to support her story of imminent danger. Additionally, Courtney still has yet to explain exactly what happened leading up to Toby's murder. We have every reason to believe that his death was the result of unwarranted and unprovoked violence. We want to see that justice is served. Now, this next part is where things get interesting. I mean, so everything right now is interesting in terms of understanding just just how suspect the police department is, and why you got to be like, wow, these people is really on some other stuff. But what's really interesting in terms of the relationship between basically where the black community comes in, this next part is really interesting. With family, you may not agree with every action or statement made. With family, you may not agree with every action or statement made. So now, remember how he started this thing out by talking about, hey, he said this stuff as a kid. Now it seems to be, well, I don't necessarily agree with everything he did, but he's my family. I understand that. But it is my duty to zealously fight for my brother. No family should have to go through what we're experiencing. And I agree, no family should have to go through that. But all over this country, we've seen Black people, Black families, Black survivors go through this over and over and over again. We've seen it over and over and over again. We have a long legal battle ahead of us to ensure that justice is served. I need your support. My family needs your support. We cannot do this without community. We cannot do this without community. Once again, I get where his brother is coming from. I get why his brother has to fight. And I get how his brother is distancing himself from the language that Christian Toby used. But that request, that plea, for the community to provide their support, to help. It's an interesting plea. But not only is it falling on deaf ears, I think it should fall on deaf ears. And there's a reason why. Because as I've stated, as we've walked through, like his attitudes, his stated opinions about Black people, about Black women, about Black Americans. Because you see, I disagree fundamentally with the diaspora war. And that means I will criticize when Black Americans are needlessly and unfairly critical of Black Africans, Black Caribbeans. But I will also definitely criticize when Black Africans, Black Caribbeans, Black South Americans, when they're critical of Black Americans. I will definitely go like, no, you're not going to disrespect Black Americans on some nonsense because you're buying into some garbage that you've seen on major media, like some poison, and you're going to just perpetuate these stereotypes. No, you don't just go ahead and spout those stereotypes and buy into that and propagate that. No, I will call it out. But Christian, Toby was perpetuating those. Toby was propagating those stereotypes. He was embracing them and living them. And he forgot something. He forgot that despite that, the fact that he created this lie in his mind that Black Americans were somehow inferior to him being Nigerian, despite the fact that he created that myth in his mind, these white folks look at him. You just one of them. You Black. There's no distinctions. They're not stopping to say, wait a minute, wait, are you a Black American or you're Nigerian? Oh, you're Nigerian. Ah, you're good. You're cool. We can trust you. These racists don't care. It's it's the delusion that some of these individuals, and it's the divestors, it's the male divestors, the female divestors, it's those fools that are propagating the diaspora war. This delusion that they have in their mind that racism is somehow rationally motivated, that there's some rationality, that it's somehow based on reality, that this hatred that these people have against Black people is somehow warranted and somehow makes sense. It doesn't make sense. But they've lied to themselves to say, okay, it makes sense against them, but I'm one of the good ones. And it seems that the last thing he may have learned, the last lesson he may have learned, is that no, they don't look at him as one of the good ones. They just look at him as one of them. That's exactly how they looked at him. You're one of them. That's what they said. They didn't say, oh, you're not American. Oh, then we can accept what you say. Then we can trust your word. They just said, oh, you're Black. Okay, you must be in the wrong. Try not to die. That very well may have been the last lesson he learned. But I'm looking at it in a broader scope because there's a lot of divestors, male, female. There's a lot of people propagating this diaspora war, and like those people that are spitting venom upon other Black people that are just have nothing but hatred for other Black people. This needs to be a lesson. This needs to be a wake up call. You could lie to yourself all you want to that, oh, we're different. We're different. These racists do not give a damn. These white supremacists do not give a damn. They don't care. There's no rationality, there's no reason, there's no justification, there's no legitimacy to their hatred of Black people. It exists. And they're not trying to say, oh, let's see, oh no, you're different from them. No. And when the rubber hits the road, that's when you'll see, yeah. Oh wait. Oh, you thought we actually liked you. No, you were just useful. We hate you like all the others. We hate you like all of the others. And so to see his brother making this plea, it's like, listen, I understand you care about your brother. Your brother didn't care about us. Your brother made it clear, I'm divesting. I'm not a part of that community. So now when you sit here and make the plea for the community to come to, because it's not, the community isn't coming to aid for you. You want the community to come and get justice for your brother. That would be against his wishes. He wished to be separate from the community. It only makes sense that the community honor his wishes. Yeah, he definitely has played himself for the perfect storm. He has talked down on American Blacks, Black women, etc. Absolutely. Welcome, Mr. Knickerbocker. Um, him bringing up young men, him bringing up being young means nothing. I asked my 16-year-old what she thought or knew about him. She was like, besides not caring, he was. Yeah, yeah. Toby coming to the realization means nothing to me. Toby doesn't get to absolve someone after their death. Seems to me Christian wouldn't want us upset on his and that's the point. Christian, he divested. He divested. So honoring his wishes is, oh no. He doesn't want, like, he doesn't recognize us as his community. You know who his community was? His community is the person that stuck the knife in his chest. That's his community. That's his community. And so if you want his community to care, then you need to go to his community. But it appears that not only does his community not care, his community is the one that actually killed them. His community is the one that actually plunged the knife into his chest and then was partying later on that night. That's his community. I've seen news reports where their neighbors said they fought regularly. And listen, you can say, like, anybody can say anything, right? So we don't know if his neighbors are telling the truth. Like his his neighbors could literally be saying, young blonde chick with some darky. Nah. They could have been seething. Like, you could just have some people that just hated seeing her with him, and now they're like, okay, yeah. He got what he deserved. Yeah, he was no good anyway. We have no, like, them, because, like, I saw about one of the neighbors, and it sounded like it was a male neighbor that said it. I'm like, that male neighbor probably has several different reasons to be lying. Like, there's, and if the cops are going to do their job, they should be able to see easily that there's several different reasons why that neighbor would have a reason to lie, especially young, pretty, newly single chick. You don't think he has any reason to lie? Okay. People running around talking about support Lauren Smith Fields, even though she said bad things about black men proudly. However, Toby, no sympathy for him. Kind of hypocrisy. Listen, that's okay. So let's talk about Lauren Smith Fields, and with these, I like, no, Lauren Smith Fields. Okay, she did what she did. That's what she wanted. She, like, you lived, you believed a lie, you propagated a lie, you promoted a lie that somehow, um and, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think if I ever saw any. So assuming that she had, like, um posts and stuff, because I don't remember if seeing her post per se about black men, but assuming she did. So if she's promoting posts downing black men and talking about black men are good for nothing, white men are the answer, white men are real men. Okay, well, you had a real man, and a real man was in the room when you died. Okay, that's your real man. So, like, let your real man handle everything. Because, like, right now, your family is looking at that real man as, okay, no, why is this dude under arrest? Why did you just accept his word for it? Well, according to Lauren, he's a real man. Right? So if that's your perspective, that these they're better, they're they're real men, they can be trusted, they take care of their responsibilities, they take care of their women, they're so respectful. Okay, you if you spend all this time creating this lie and believing this lie, okay, don't get mad when you wind up dead and everybody believed the lie that you helped uh, promote. So if people are looking differently with Lawrence Smith Fields and Toby, it's hypocrisy. Absolutely, I do not look differently on them. Like, if they wanted to divest, they divested. They wanted to separate from the community. We honor their wishes. That's it. Like, it's not a matter of, no, you can't leave. No, stay. Okay, no, you want to go? Like Curly Bill said, bye. That's it. Bye. So, like, and I'm thoroughly 1,000% with keeping the same energy for Lawrence Smith Fields as you have for Christian Obumseli. Same energy, 1,000% for it, 1,000%. And if anything happens to any of these other divestors, male or female, 1,000% we're keeping the same energy for them. You wanted to divest, you wanted to separate from the community, we honor your wishes. And you can see, and maybe you won't live to see. And in these cases, they haven't lived to see. He may have lived long enough to realize, oh wow, like they don't give a damn about me. He may have lived long enough to realize that his last lesson learned. But there's a lot of others out there that are following these idiots, and now they have an opportunity to realize, huh, wait a minute. I'm starting to get the impression that they don't really like us. I'm starting to get the impression that despite us putting these people on a pedestal, they don't look at us the same way. That despite pretending and lying to myself that these people are somehow different, somehow they walk on water, they're not capable of being of violent, of being abusive, of being no good, of being unfaithful, despite making up all these lies in my head. Like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they are capable of all that stuff, and maybe I put myself at a disadvantage by turning my back on my community and like pretending that I'm going to be accepted, loved, and protected by somebody else's community. Did his mother really name him Christian Toby? What? So his name I think is Christian Obumseli, but Toby I think is his nickname. And so the nickname Toby, like in I found it like wow, that's so fitting. That's so many that's so interesting that that's his nickname, Toby. That is really interesting. Uh, what did she say about black men? There was another black woman that got killed by a white guy. She didn't disrespect black men, but yet the dude's still clown. See, that's why I don't remember if I saw anything specific from Lauren Fields. So, like I said, if if she said anything or if there was things like that that was said, I get it. But I'm not because I know there was several different cases. I know there was Lawrence Smith Fields. There was another. There was another woman. I don't remember her name. How did that work out for her? Where are the protests for her? Sounds like turnabout is fair play as opposed to hypocrisy. And that's what I'm like, let's keep it consistent. Because the message needs to be if you want to say F you to the black community, we can say F you back. That's it. It's just that simple. Like we don't need to get emotional about it. We don't need to get in our feelings. Oh, F us, F you. It's separation. It's separate if that's what you want. But know that you will then be alone. Know that you will then be at the mercy of somebody else in somebody else's community, and especially in if there's anything goes wrong. So while murder is an extreme case, there's all kinds of other situations that can happen. You know, there could be the situation where there's disputes where there's arguments over money, over property, stuff like that. Like, okay, remember, like now if there's a dispute over whose property is whose, over some kind of financial, like now you're on your own to deal with that. And so then it's going to be you, a black man or a black woman, with this white person who is saying, oh no, I'm telling the truth, they're lying. And then you can find out whether or not the this system actually respects you as the individual that you. Oh no, I'm not black, I'm American. So, on that kind of stuff. See if they say, oh, you're not black, we can treat you like uh we you're not like the others. We can treat you differently. We can trust and respect what you say. Is that how it's going to go? or are they gonna look at you and be like, "Oh, nah, you're one of them," and we're gonna show you how we roll. That you can sit here and deny that there's um, that there's group dynamics at play, but trust and believe they know that there's group dynamics at play, and they play them. Do you want them to turn the other cheek? Yes, honor his wishes. Absolutely. Jay, welcome to the stream. Some black chick in Florida got killed by a white guy she was with. She didn't disrespect black men that I know of. Yet she still got clown. Yeah, so like, listen, if we have evidence that the person has said something disparaging about black men, black women, black people altogether, yeah, like, okay, honor their wishes. If we don't have evidence of that, then like maybe we should be like take a step back. And Officer Tatum also went to bat to defend Lauren's murderer because, of course, he had to defend his masters. That dude is such a clown, such a clown, such an absolute clown. The cousins actually said black men dating white women aren't real men. But look at her cousin. Unfortunately, he passed. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, so you're talking about Toby's cousin, because okay, she actually had a statement, and I did want to touch on her statement before we switched over to the New York shooter. Um, is this no? Okay, yes, it is the statement. Okay, no, that was. Come on, I know I have it. Oh wow, I don't have it. So his okay, so his cousin had came out and made a statement um about so his cousin had came out and made a statement about how the family was. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I wrote it down. Toby was raised with by a very strong family with strong morals, strong values. He does not come from that. That's Toby's cousin, Karen Egbuna. And I was listening, I had to read that statement several times. I'm gonna say it again. Toby was raised with by a very strong family with strong morals, strong values. He does not come from that. Now, maybe because of who Toby was, I'm reading into that statement just a little bit much, but that statement kind of like it's almost as if there's some implication there. Like he doesn't okay, especially this. Okay, he was raised by a very strong family with strong morals and strong values. Like strong morals and strong values, it makes me wonder like are you trying to contrast that with somebody else? Are you making some kind of contrast? And then especially when you come to this last part, he does not come from that. What exactly is that? Like did you have anybody specific in mind when you say he does not come from that? Because that statement, like I looked at that and I said, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm reading into this more because just based on what I've learned about Toby. But that statement in itself has me, you know, I'm looking at it kind of skeptically at this point. I'm looking at it kind of skeptically. When you find out what the system thinks of you, aka the N word, wake up call. Yes, yes, and this is what I'm saying. This is the opportunity to provide that wake up call for all these idiots that are listening to the divestors, are listening to like the Fresh and Fits, the Sinjis, and the Taz, like all of these idiots. Listening to these idiots will have you all alone by yourself in the wilderness with no protection. With no protection. Like that's the point. So like it's actually like I get that it's his brother's duty to try to fight. It's I look at it as our community's duty to let him be, to let him and his family handle that. Since he wanted to, since he made it such an issue to publicly reveal his disdain, his disrespect, his disgust for black people. Like, then we need to make it clear, like, okay, if you wish to divest from the black community, cool. You're on your own. You're on your own. It's essential to make sure that message is understood and to let people know, okay, listen, is this what you really want to do? Do you want to take, because listen, don't turn your back on the community, and then when something goes wrong, when you realize that the grass ain't greener, when you realize that, oh wow, like this person doesn't actually care about me, this person doesn't actually give a damn about me, this society will twist the rules to screw me over. When you realize that, don't come running back us to us expecting us to save you. Do you want to do that? That's the message that needs to be that's the message that needs to be pushed. That's the message that needs to be received. Like, to like make it as loud and clear. Okay, you can divest, but then you're on your own. AKA the OJ effect, the Kanye effect, the Cosby effect. Ask yourself, is your money long enough to keep you asleep? And so, yeah, but like people forget, like, and even if you take a look at Kanye's a billionaire, and still and still feeling the pressure. He's a billionaire and still feeling the pressure. These people following these YouTube divester communities, those y'all ain't millionaires, you ain't billionaires. You're running down the wrong road, and it's gonna be at your own peril. And you're gonna run into a brick wall and then find out, whoa, oh no, this isn't right. Oh, I need help. Community, wait, squad up. And nobody's gonna be there because you have no squad. You wanted those. You have it. The squad you thought you had is the squad that is now that has then turned on you. Like the squad he thought he had, the people who he thought had his back. So she had a knife in his back. That's about it. That is slavery. We know what his strong values are. The KKK are Christian. OJ did do it though. uh, I don't care if he did or didn't. So did Kyle Rittenhouse. So did George Zimmerman. Definitely. I despise that with a passion. With a passion, I despise George Zimmerman. And like I said, they had an opportunity to get George Zimmerman if they acknowledged that Trayvon was standing his ground. But they were so focused on, oh no, anti-gun laws. We need to let's try to stop the stand your ground laws. Like, no, win this case. But they had a political agenda that was separate and distinct from getting justice for Trayvon. OJ got off just like them. Squad up. Exactly my point, Echo. They have long money and couldn't be saved. Give me one quick second. Okay. Yeah, it was yeah, all that money. And so like if that's what's happening at those levels, regular people got to realize um yeah, like being on your own is not a place you want to be. Like you can sit there and lie to yourself that because like I've seen this talk like like well I'm an individual. Okay, you can play an individual game when everyone else is playing a team game. Let me know how that works out. Like like you could get on the soccer field, say I'm an individual, and then you've got what 9 defenders out there against you, and you think that you can do anything against them. Like you've got a shot in hell. Uh, but I do want to actually go back to some of the latest developments with the New York shooter case. So with the alleged shooter and the Frank James, because and I like to thank everybody who was giving me information, let me know what his YouTube channel was, because I was watching some of his YouTube channel, listening to it um last night, this morning, and he has a lot of material, and where I saw this originally going, I see it. It's going to be someplace. It's going to end up someplace different. Well, not so. Yeah, you definitely have the side that's going to. They're already pushing. Oh, we need gun control. Like he had a legal weapon. That's okay. The well, maybe he had a legal weapon. Well, yeah, he definitely already violated New York law, because New York law doesn't allow him to bring the guns inside. Um, um, yeah, man, it's crazy. PJ did not get away with it. He just got out because of pandemic. He lost credibility, money, and eventually his freedom. He ended up in jail for how long over getting his own stuff back? Oh yeah, the so yeah, you've got the gun control crowd. They're pushing hard with their agenda, but there's actually I'm seeing that there's going to be repercussions felt behind what this like, and and the more I watched of his YouTube channel, I realized, oh, um, this is gonna be this is gonna have waves for YouTubers, and this is gonna have significant impact on YouTubers, because already Eric Adams was already out there pushing for controls on social media with respect to drill rappers. So drill rappers wasn't even necessarily doing all of their rap on social media, but like they're doing the rap in street. But he's like, okay, because they're engaging in violence on the street, the social media needs to be shutting down their accounts, and with this guy having stuff on YouTube, there's going to be repercussions. There's going to be impact felt on this YouTube space. So one of the things that it's probably going to be along the lines of it could potentially be along the lines of policing, tightening, and further restrictions on what people are allowed to say and talk about, because among other things, there's Section 230 is the law that allows Section 30 is basically the law that allows social media to exist, because what it does is it gives a social media company like Facebook or YouTube, Twitter, the the protection from being liable for what everybody on it says. So there are people who are trying to get rid of 230. There are Democrats. The Democratic Party wants to get rid of 230. The Republican Party wants to get rid of 230. Trump actually is suing um, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, saying that and in his lawsuit, he says that the Democrats were using the threat of getting rid of 230 to exercise control over YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And he says, as a result, the court should get rid of 230. I'm like, wait a minute, what? So you're saying that the Democrats want to we're threatening to get rid of 230, and your answer is to get rid of 230. So you got to realize the government doesn't want 230 to exist, because with 230, that allows regular people to have a voice. That allows regular people to their message to reach so many more people. Like in 2000, the year 2000, if you wanted to get a message, if you wanted to say something to the world, how could you do it? Like you could write a letter. You could even in 2000, you could start your own website. Who would know that your website exists on how to find it? However, if you're on social media, you could get on Facebook and have something. You have a bunch of more people that see what you write. On YouTube, you can put out a video, and if it goes viral, everybody gets to see it. On Twitter, a celebrity could say something, you could respond directly to them. Everybody gets to see your response. The ability of regular people to reach the world has been facilitated by the current state of social media. The powers that be don't like that. They don't like regular people being able to bypass the media, their mainstream, their traditional media sources, because if you're looking at the cable news networks, your local networks, if you wanted to get a story out there, you needed to go to one of them and beg them to put you on, and they got to choose what they were going to put on the airwaves and what not. In social media, it's a whole different playing field. And we've seen that because we've seen talent rise that Hollywood tried to ignore. We've seen stories spread that the media tried to ignore, because social media has like a mind of its own. But like I said, the powers of be don't like the ability of the people to directly reach other people. They want to be the gatekeepers. They want to control everything we see and hear. They are going to use this. They are going to use this. They are going to attempt to use this to their benefit. They're going to attempt to use this to control and exercise more control over social media. Even if they weren't going to do it, YouTube is going to look at this under the lens of, wow, this guy's been ranting. Because if you look, he said a lot of stuff. So like, people are talking about the stuff he was saying, and he sounds like a red pillar, and he's all over the place. Like, he's been all over the place. Like, I listened to him just go off on on everybody. He's gone off on everybody. Like, every black people, black men, black women, everybody. Like, he's gone off. Just and like, the first thing I saw of him was him talking about how, like, yeah, no. But yeah, I don't want to go to prison. I'm not built for prison. So I got scared straight years ago. And so I was like, okay. Like, that was like the first video I saw of him. And then I started watching some other stuff. And at different times, like he'll go on these rants, and he's just like curses and slurs and just like going in on like just even if he's not making explicit threats, that's the see, had he been making explicit threats, that actually might have been better. But like now they're going to be this is going to lead to people trying to advocate for greater tone policing of tone. So they'll be like, well, even without making explicit threats, we want YouTube to be more attentive to the tone, like any hostility. And that's going to be like, that's disastrous in terms of just being able to get on here and speak. Because if YouTube is actually starts policing tone and okay, wait a minute, this sounds too negative. Because like even the them talking about, oh yeah, he mentioned Eric Adams, and so we've got to up Eric Adams' security detail. It's like, did you hear what he said? Like he's talked about he said Hochul. He did a video about Kathy Hochul and Eric Adams and their mental health initiative on the subway and for homeless people, and he said it's not going to work. And then he went on a rant about this group of people he showed, like 5 or 6 people, and not Kathy Hochul or Eric Adams, but these 5 or 6 people that I don't know who they are. I don't know if they're like people that are part of the system or people that he had prior interactions with, because that's what he claimed. He claimed like these were people that he had prior interactions with when he was in New York, and they were part of the mental health system, and he's going off on them. And then he gets back to the story about how Kathy Hochul and Eric Adams' system, their whole policy is not going to work because it's got people like that involved. And I'm like, yeah, he didn't say anything. He didn't make any threats against Kathy Hochul, Eric Adams. He didn't say anything specific. Like he just vaguely mentioned them and that their policy wasn't going to work. But if based on him criticizing their policy, because that's legitimately what he did, if you're now going to say, oh, we need to heighten security for them, it's like, whoa, like they're really. I can see the potential for them, a dangerous precedent coming, a dangerous precedent being set, and a definite push, because I know how these people operate. They're going to push for greater control over this YouTube space than they should have, without a doubt. Um, I've seen the racists that are talking about he is BLM without even seeing what he said in these videos, and he's more like, yes, and this like, and the amount of times he uses the N word with the hard R, like he doesn't, he uses the N word with the hard R just constantly, and I'm like, yeah, like what are you talking about? Like how you saying this dude is BLM? Like Matt Walsh tweeted something stupid about like Matt Walsh is an idiot. Like Matt Walsh, you are an absolute moron to say something stupid like this guy is BLM. And you clearly, like, you're not even just a moron, you're just a liar. You're Matt Walsh, you are an absolute liar to say that this dude is BLM, because no, if you listen to him for any significant amount of time, you realize no, he has like a definite like issues with black people, and like him talking about black people getting needed deserving to be sent back to picking cotton. Like he said some vile stuff about black people. So Matt Walsh is a liar and an idiot. um okay, who's Frank James, and his YouTube channel I think was Professor no Prophet of Truth 88. He has like two channels, but that I think that's one of them. And he has, yeah, like he's been going on for years. He's been on like his stuff dates back to 2016. And so yeah, I was listening to a bunch of his stuff, and it's just so much stuff that he's but he'll he'll go on these 30-minute rants, and he's like cursing out everybody. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that YouTube is going to delete the channel within the next few days. I'm surprised. I'm surprised it's still up, but I'm like, you know what? YouTube is showing their business, because when y'all told me about this channel yesterday, he had like 500 subscribers. When you told me about this channel yesterday, right after I got off on the live stream last night, he had 500 subscribers. This morning, he's got 3.8 thousand subscribers. And I'm saying to myself, listen, I get people wanting to watch his stuff. Why are you subscribing? Listen, he's not going to be posting pretty soon. Pretty soon, he's not going to be posting anymore. Get ready for more. Oh, they're already doing it. They're already doing it. Like, I think BLM was trending this morning because Andy No, Matt Walsh, and these other morons are just pieces of garbage that, like, and they've got these gullible followings who do no research and just parrot whatever lies they're spoon fed from these racists. The guy allegedly committed the Brooklyn shooting yesterday morning. Trump is saying he's suing, but his case not. Oh yeah, so in fact, I got to do a video about that, because I did a video when it first started, and I predicted a couple of things that were going to happen. One of the things I predicted, because he sued in Florida, I said, listen, number one, the case is not staying in Florida, because there's in fact, let me see. Because there's a clause in the terms of service. There's a clause in YouTube's terms of service about jurisdiction, and so what it's saying is that even when you sue, no matter where you sue, by agreeing to YouTube's terms of service, you're agreeing that the case will be heard in California district court. So I think this is it. Yeah, so you're agreeing that the case will be heard in U.S. district in the California courts. So that's one of the things. That was one of the first things that happened. They changed venue. They switched over to California, and I'm like, yeah, I knew that was coming, because it's just part of the terms. Like, he tried to say he shouldn't be. Oh man, Trump is a boy. He said he shouldn't be held. He shouldn't have to apply by the terms of service because he was the president. And the court says to him, "What? What does that have to do with anything?" Well, so like, Trump really thinks that being president made him like God King or something, like that. He like no rules apply to me. Like, yes, you have a lot of leeway as president, a lot of stuff you get to do, but it does not make you the king of the world. Oh man, yeah, no one really cared about 230 until Trump got banned on Twitter. Social media is such hypocrisy. I really want a black first, black only social network, but we can't come together for that, unfortunately. It'll take a while, because right now there's a lot of we got a lot of foolishness happening within the community. Dang, I hadn't even heard about it. Yancy, welcome, Yancy. The part of 230 that protects social media from being sued because of what people say is also because they are not deemed a publisher. But now that social media is saying what you can and cannot say, then 230 is gone. No, that's not how it works. And so that's like the people that keep promoting that about the publisher, or like, it doesn't say that. It just says that they're not going to be held liable. And the funny thing about Section 230 is Section 230 exists off of the Congress's attempt to shut the internet down. to further restrict the internet. And the court actually, and they, of course, they always, oh, it's the children, so they used, the scare of um, harmful material reaching children. And the court said, "Wait a minute, this law is overbroad." However, there's one section of this law that is not overbroad, and we're striking down the entire law except for this one portion, and that one portion is Section 230. So it's funny that Congress, in trying to limit our access to the internet, actually and accidentally gave us the thing that has created a much freer internet and a space where social media companies can exist as they do today. Yeah, soon YouTube will be strict as Twitch. Yeah, it's if this works, that's why people have to be aware of what's coming and prepare for it. And like it's like this fight is not just gonna be like taken with us against like us talking, trying to contact YouTube, headquarters or whatever. It's gonna have to be dealt with actually going after these politicians that are going to try to make this move. If dude was going off on black people, there's no way YouTube will ban talking trash about black people. They'll probably promote his YouTube. He'll probably promote his YouTube channel if he was black. Well, listen, it's still online, so that tells you something. His channel is still online. Both of his channels are still online. When you go down the rabbit hole of his content, it's like exactly. It's like wow. Like listen, if he actually survives this and gets tried, like his YouTube channel is his mental health defense. It's like his insanity defense is his YouTube channel. It's like right there. Like all they have to do is say Exhibit A, and then like after like 3 hours of watching his content, the jury's gonna be like, not guilty by reason of insanity. This guy's out of his mind. No, I didn't see that one. Oh yeah, I know that's got to be. I know that's got to be crazy. Because social media is then acting as a publisher. I agree the politicians that are corrupt don't want us to have our Second Amendment rights because the tyranny will go up 100% without this. Second or first? Well, they don't want us to have either, but I guess it was because of the tone of his other videos, they decided to upgrade the security on Adams. Yeah, because his tone towards Adams was like very, and he, in fact, he even says, "Yeah, I wish y'all the best, but it's not going to work." He's like, I wish you're the best, but your plan is not going to work. This policy, is not going to work. What did Matt do? Matt was so he says that this guy is is from BLM. Let me pull up the Twitter. Um, okay, so let me share screen. Share screen. Twitter, Chrome tab. Um, okay. Oh yeah. So he went further than Matt Walsh went further than saying he's BLM. He says the subway suspect is a black supremacist. The Waukesha killer is a black supremacist. The guy who tried to assassinate a mayoral candidate is a black supremacist. The man who murdered a Capitol police officer was a black supremacist. In summary, white supremacy is the problem. So he's calling himself being witty, but he's just making stuff up. Yeah, nothing about this dude is black supremacy. This dude is definitely not a black supremacist. But Matt Walsh wants to. Matt Walsh loves playing the victim. That's what Matt Walsh and his ilk do. They play the victim 24/7, and then they have their their little tokens that will run around and claim black people. What? Stop being victimhood. Let go of victimhood. Like these white conservatives, the entire shtick is victimhood. They're playing the victimhood perpetually. That's what they do. Um, but yeah, so he wants to somehow make this okay, and so people are actually correcting him, but facts don't matter. His feelings don't matter. Don't care about facts. Um, that speech was common theme. Uh, that speech was a common theme throughout James' videos, in which he repeatedly espoused hatred towards African Americans. That's like they're telling him, "What are you talking about?" But Matt Walsh does not care about the truth because Matt Walsh is a liar. Um, I see your followers don't need facts to confirm their feelings that black people are bad, but most thinking people will require it. Matt only keeps a racial scoreboard counts up when it suits him, I see. Otherwise, it's a Democrat false flag. Yeah. So basically, anyone who's black and commits a crime is a black supremacist. And that's the kind of stupid stuff that Matt Walsh does. The N, the S, and the F. All yeah. He was, yeah. He like what? Yeah, he was really going in. He was going in in that video with that he's going off that video where he's talking about the Eric Adams and Kathy Hochul's plan, and that black woman on I don't know who that black woman is, but they anybody needs security. That black woman needs security. If anybody needs some security, y'all better make sure y'all have her under police protection, like completely. Like y'all better have her in the middle of the precinct, under 24/7 guard. Cause man, the stuff he said about her, oh, it's already gone. Wow, wow, wow. Yeah. Okay, it's gone now. Wow. Yeah. Before I started this stream, it was still on. That channel was still there before I started the stream. So now they figured out that he was right wing. They went on and got rid of that thing. Can't pin it on BLM, woke Democrats, and scare the racists if you find out he's Uncle Ruckus. YouTube just deleted it. Wow. They just deleted his insanity defense. In white supremacy, black people aren't allowed to be neurologically atypical, but with the complexion for the protection, you get to stab and go party hours later because you're 5150. Yeah, yeah. Clearly, you can see. Listen, her partying was part of her therapy. She needed to. That's how she expressed her trauma. Yeah, that's all it was. It. She was crying on the inside. It looked like she was having a good time, but she was crying on the inside. I'm an expert. You can trust me. Homeboy isn't a black supremacist. He has reverse vitiligo. Yeah, you can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up because, but like I said, Matt Walsh and his crew will just they will make this stuff up. We like everything they do is just made up. Yancey, I'm speaking of the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. They're already infringing on the First Amendment. Yeah, they're infringing on the first free speech, assembly. Which reminds me, I do have a video coming out about the key to New York City, because that ties into the First Amendment, and yeah, that one should be dropping. maybe later today, maybe tomorrow. But yeah, and then I'm actually going to be talking more about it probably on Friday. Um, Matt is a wacko. When I used to watch him, he said if a white guy got killed, no one would care and it wouldn't get news coverage, and my jaw hit the floor. He also had a racist comment. Yeah, listen, like they just make stuff up. Like you routinely have white people's murders being covered on TV. White girl goes missing. It's all over TV. Um, Everything stops. Like every station is talking about it simultaneously. They've got a ticker at the bottom. The hour 3 of Gabby search, and so it's like, stop it. You're just making stuff up. Funny enough, in fact, I'd mentioned Brad Palumbo the other day. I had forgotten her last name, Hannah Cox. They have a show together, and they were doing takes of Matt Walsh reactions to stupid stuff Matt Walsh says. That was a pretty funny video. But like, so I can't see the dislikes. I can see how many views it has. So I know Matt Walsh fans, like they bombed it, with the dislikes, because the comments were ridiculous. Like all a bunch of Matt Walsh apologists in the comment section, just oblivious to reality. Um, LOL. They deleted the account maybe 15 minutes ago. I was watching a few of his videos and his creepy YouTube shorts. Yeah. Government infringing on tech companies when it comes to speech. The government. So listen, I'm a firm believer that YouTube is a private company. And so like there's things I may not like about what YouTube does, but hey, it's a private company. Um, if they say I can't talk about um the vax, like if they say I can't say certain things about vax, which is why I will never talk about the efficacy of the vax. I will never talk about it. I will talk about the ethics and the constitutionality of the mandates. I will not talk about the efficacy of the vaccines. I have never and I will never do that on YouTube because it's against YouTube's terms of service. Cool. This is their platform. And the simple fact is, I don't have to like it. It's their platform. You know what I'm saying? And so without their platform, am I reaching as many people? So I have to take that in consideration, because I can start. I have my own website, whatever. Boom. But and that's the thing. People say you're being when people talk about being silenced. We all have the ability to create our own websites. Now, the fact that our websites may not get the viewership or the traffic that a YouTube gets, that a Facebook gets, that a Twitter gets, that's not their problem. Like that's our problem. So there's a upside to having social media, but of course, if it's somebody else's platform, it's their platform to make the rules as they see fit. If they're a private company. That being said, the government, like there has been stuff that the government's been doing, and I think I did videos on this, like Jen Psaki basically instructing social media companies of certain things they should be doing. That's improper influence, and I think that's the legitimate grounds for lawsuits and constitutional challenges, because the government is then exercising improper influence, and then the tech company is acting is becoming a state actor, in that it's not enacting its own will, it's enacting the will of the state on behalf of the state, and that becomes an infringement on our rights. But when the government is actually interfering with what we're saying and our speech, that implicates the First Amendment. YouTube, deleting channels, Facebook prohibiting certain things, Twitter, getting rid of accounts. That's not First Amendment violations. That's actually an exercise of the First Amendment because that's that company protecting what speech they allow on their platform, um, and choosing what speech they have on their platform. When we have to come together, even if we have to. I would totally go to a channel, even if it had black YouTubers I didn't like. I have always been one to like to hear opposing viewpoints, and yeah, I like listening to other viewpoints, um, because it gives me, especially well well thought out arguments from other viewpoints. Because if somebody's just spouting talking points, it's like, okay, what's the point? But if I'm listening to a Rashad Ritchie and he's providing some reasoned out opinions, I can go, okay, think about what he's saying and determine if I've already considered what he said. And if I haven't, I can then consider the stuff he's saying, compare it to some other information, and determine um, who's on the right side of the issue, if there even is a right side of the issue. But yeah, but you won't do that if you refuse to listen to anybody. Like if anytime you hear a viewpoint that is different from yours, if you automatically no, no, I don't want to hear it. But that's where we're at as a society right now, where people are literally, because they don't like what Fox News is saying, we don't want Fox News on the air. Like they're calling for cable companies to get rid of Fox News. And cable companies are like, are you crazy? Do you know how much money they make us? So yeah, that's why Fox News is safe for now. OAN and Newsmax, not so much. But Fox News has enough of a following that they're safe from that. A broken clock is correct twice a day. Have you guys heard Professor Black Truth? Great breakdown and like so I think I mentioned him yesterday because yes, because I was talking about the Will Smith thing. And like right yesterday morning, I'd actually heard him talking about that, and he talked about prestige. And his breakdown of the word prestige was so good. That was so. I mean, the way he broke it down, like it's an illusion. People think it like that. It means something that's worth something, and it's no. And he broke it down where prestige is just it's based on a Latin word meaning illusion. And then he talked about he even brought about the movie The Prestige with Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman about magicians, and that's what it was. It's the illusion. It's and so he was talking about the prestige, the illusion that the Oscars, that the Academy is worth something. Uh, yeah, yeah. I definitely listened to some of his stuff. Um, yeah. So I mean, it's the interesting thing is, like I said, I think Frank James is already gone. That's my theory. I think they're gonna wind up. Like he may have been this entire time. That may have been what happened. That he's already done. Finished himself off, and it's just a matter of them finding his body because I don't know. It just seems that with all of their technology, all the capabilities, that they would have found him by now. It is interesting that they have come out and said they've changed their story about how they knew the U-Haul. Because if you remember, and I was doing the live yesterday, I was talking about their story was that they found the U-Haul because he dropped his credit card. Like how? Why was his credit card like? So at some point in the middle of shooting people and throwing smoke grenades, he decides to pull out his credit card for what purpose? Like, what was he trying to buy? Was he like I said? This makes no sense. So they did change that, and they said that he had dropped, he had left behind the key to the U-Haul, not the credit card. But yeah, because that made no sense. So hey, um, I did like, especially after watching the first video, after watching just a little bit of the first video, I thought, okay, maybe this isn't the guy. Watching the rest of the stuff, I was like, uh, if this isn't the guy, after watching the rest of a bunch of his other videos, I was like, if this isn't the guy, I'm sorry, but he doesn't stand a chance. If this isn't the guy, sorry, he doesn't stand a chance at trial. Like, he has no chance. Like, if this isn't the guy, yeah, his channel is gonna get him convicted anyway. Jaden from I watch him every morning. Thought him and Jason, like, I thought. Listen, I'm still like, I'm still like, are they the same guy? Because like, I'm still not sure. Um, my husband still thinks they are. Yeah, like, I'm still not sure. I'm like, because their voices sound extremely similar. Their content is very similar. So yeah, I thought they were the same guy. On these YouTube streets, they call it unalive himself. Yeah, yeah, that made no sense. I'm Tavaso. Welcome. Facts. They sound the same and have hilarious antics in their information. Yeah, it's so like right now. There's like in New York, like everybody is on. The cops are definitely on high alert. So they're back to, like, I remember when they used to have, walking around patrolling. They got their long guns. They're in like full body gear. National Guard has been activated. They're in Grand Central Terminal and stuff like that. And so it's starting to have that feel again. And quite frankly, whether it, like, you really should have had that, because even if this guy, if for no other reason than this guy is still on the loose, this guy hasn't been caught yet. So if you haven't caught this guy yet, then it only makes sense to have some heightened security. But I was pretty sure that it was only a matter of time before they changed from um, person of interest to actual suspect. And because they've got a bunch of cell phone video. They've got cell phone video, and so now they're breaking down the cell phone video of what was happening in the car, what was happening on the platform, and that's what's going to be interesting. What happens on the platform? Like, somebody had to have caught like a glimpse of him leaving or whatever, and seeing which direction he went. So they have a bunch of information about that, because in fact the FBI had people uploading information directly to the directly to the FBI's website. I heard an episode with both of them. That was the only reason. Okay, okay, so they are the two separate guys. Okay, I get it. But there was a photo of a guy in orange walking away from the victims, but it's all blurry. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, yeah, it's too late to bring out the army. What the? But yeah, so like, I know that there's going to be repercussions. There's going to be stuff happening. Like, behind the scenes, I know there's already stuff happening. There's got to be. Um, and it's like, I'm thinking about, like, there needs to be, YouTubers need to be aware and need to mobilize to like mitigate whatever changes come to like lessen it, because if we allow these politicians to set the tone, it's they really don't want. Not only do they not want people to have the voice, they don't want people having the ability to, because like YouTube, like, these are independent businesses. And these are independent businesses that we don't need to go through the government to get. Uh, and they don't, once again, they don't like that. They like being able to control who gets to make money and who doesn't. And their access, controlling access to money and power is what makes them, um, is what gives them power to and why corporations are constantly donating so much money to these politicians, because they have the ability to change, to control the outcome of the game. And they don't like that social media and these YouTube streets, these IG streets, these um TikTok, like, they're not in control. And now regular people are being able to start their own businesses from home and bypass a lot of the bull, a lot of the garbage and the red tape that they want to, and the hoops they want to make people jump through to survive. I was reading he threw tear gas and put on a gas mask, but the picture looks like a black paper surgical mask, like people have been wearing for COVID. So from what they said that he had a surgical mask and then he put on a gas mask. Um, and yeah, he threw out smoke grenades, because that, yeah, you can see the car is full of smoke, and there's footage of somebody in the car in front. They're taping, and you can see somebody in his car, like, trying to get out of the door. There's smoke, like, the like you can only see that person that's at the door, but there's smoke all around them, and they're trying to yank the door open, because I'm guessing at that point the shots are being fired, and they're trying to escape out of that car. And so that I heard somebody say that, one of the survivors said that this morning, that, like, yeah, this was an N train that had the doors locked, and we couldn't even escape from the car. We were trapped there with the killer. And so, with all the games that they play, oh, you're not supposed to be walking in between the cars. It might be a safety issue to allow people an escape if the train is in between stations. There are cases where stuff happens where people may need to be able to get out of a car, while the car is in between stations, and the MTA really has to start considering that. Facts. I'm sorry, my conspiracy spidey sense is tingling on this thing. Yeah, I get the feeling. Absolutely, I get the feeling. See how quickly they force people to show their Cash App and other monetary app funds on taxes. Yep. They're like, wait a minute, people are making money off of this. Let's let's make sure we're getting our cut. Or let's be real, if a guy enters a train in a gas mask, I'm getting off. Yeah, so I had said yesterday, I had questioned whether or not he came into the train station with like that. And so what they said was he came in with the mask on, with a surgical mask, and then while he's sitting down, he opens up his bag, puts on the gas mask, and then starts throwing the grenades. I think Tenet. Where are the gas mask pictures? Yeah. By the way, anybody who hasn't seen Tenet, that movie is so severely underrated. And the reason why I think it was so underrated is because a lot of people didn't get to see it in the theaters. I know when it came out in New York, the movie theaters were shut down. Um, so I went to Jersey because I had to see that movie in the theaters, and I was glad I saw it. Like, seeing that in IMAX, wow, amazing! That movie is amazing. Yeah, that video is painful. Yeah, there's so much. There's a lot of blood, and oh wow. All the older BMT lines are like that, locking the doors between cars. Yeah, I can't co-sign that. I cannot co-sign Amaterasu. I cannot co-sign that. Tenet is just so, like, I watch it over and over, and like the entire like it's like a trip. It's there's so many layers to it, and without giving away anything, that fight they have, um, you know which fight I'm talking about. Like that fight, the first time they have that fight is great. The second time they have that fight is like, wow, it's really amazing. So, yeah, listen, that movie is really good. Like, yes, yes, and that's why I know there's people on this that haven't seen it, so I don't want to give away too much. But like, there's a there's a fight scene. Whoa, wow, wow. I am a nerd. I am a nerd. I am. uh, yeah, so yeah, I'm guessing sometime today we'll get some more information on what's up with him. Like, have they caught him? Or like, even if they don't catch him by today, I think they're gonna say that they'll release information that they're reasonably certain that he's no longer alive or something like that. I think I've heard them do that before, and at that point they're just looking for his body, uh, because among other things, the that train line is right next to it's a few blocks away from the water. So if somebody wanted to just like they could really just run down the few blocks, and the water is right there, and then just jump over, and that might actually wind up being that's a possibility of where they could find him, or his body, um, or even in the tunnel somewhere they can find his body somewhere. Okay, so maybe somebody I just saw a comment somebody saying they got him. Let me pull up. Um, okay, so according to what I'm seeing, it looks like there's still. Whoa. Okay, so my theory may be wrong. My theory may be wrong. Okay, so he was actually in a great movie about the. Okay, yeah, the undercover Klansman. Yeah. Um. So I from what I just read, it's from NBC 15 minutes ago. NBC New York. They said that a Metro card linked to him was swiped last night, which means like, wow, that's crazy. Which means he's he was still alive and on the train system during the manhunt, which is crazy. Um, I guess not. They just know he did it. So I'm guessing it was a couple of things. I'm guessing some of the video was part of it, and then the U-Haul, because the U-Haul is in his name, I'm guessing, and everything. So once they found the key, um, or the credit card, whatever story they're going with, that's when they figured out that, okay, yeah, this is the guy we're looking for, and plus, looking at he fits the description that they had already gotten from standard, passengers. Other passengers had said, he was like a short, heavy set black guy. How do they know it's him? So the and then the question is, so there's witnesses, like there's somebody who said they was actually sitting next to him. So it's gonna be, and then there's some cell phone video. I don't know how much cell phone video is from inside the car of when there's actual shooting. I know there's a lot of cell phone video afterwards, and you see people coming out of the train. Like there's one guy that's been shot in the leg, and he limps out, and then he just like collapses onto the platform. And then you look inside the car, and you see there's a lot of blood all over the train car. Yeah, and then like you've got one guy outside putting a tourniquet on somebody else's leg. So yeah, there's a link to him. He might have had a reduced fare card. Well, see, that's the thing though. Ever since they came out with the MetroCard system, one of the things they was talking about was tracking people, and using the MetroCard to track people, so that like if you get stopped, like if you get arrested and you have a MetroCard on you, they can scan the MetroCard to find out where you've been, which stations you were at. Okay, you scanned, you were at this station at this time, you were at this station at this time. And so yeah, ever since the beginning, that was ever since MetroCards first came out back in the 90s, that like that was what one of the things they were talking about, the MetroCards could be used for. The pics are all too blurry for me, and I want to know why they have stills. No, so there's no video from the station because they're saying the cameras in the station weren't working, and yeah, that sets off the BS alarm for me as well. Um, Tons of still no video on these articles I'm seeing. So if you go to like Twitter, and I got to warn you, because some of the footage on Twitter is pretty graphic, because like when it first happened yesterday, like right before I came on my first stream yesterday, I was looking at Twitter, and there's some really graphic video. Like you'll see people, and like there's one guy, there's a bunch of blood all around him. It's coming from his like leg or something like that. But so everybody survived, and but to look at all that blood, you would think that like that like there was fatalities. Fortunately, it wasn't. Fortunately, like there people were able to stop the bleeding. Medical was able to get people to the hospital quickly enough, so that nobody bled out. He probably did get the that he probably did get that. Yeah. Yeah, however, how do they know that this card was his? If you have cash only, the only thing the card can tell you is where it's been swiped. Um, so here's what they're doing. Okay, what they've done is they've pinpointed where he bought it, right? So if they pinpoint, because like every Metro card, do I have a Metro card? Trying to see if I have a Metro card handy. It has its serial number. So with its serial number, they can watch when he boarded the train. By watching when he boarded the train, they can pinpoint which what was the serial number of the Metro card that swiped him in. So now they know, okay, that's his Metro card, because that card was the card that was used when he went through. They know what turnstile he went through. They know what time he went through that turnstile. So now they know what Metro card to look for. So now they're looking for any other pings on that Metro card. And so apparently that same Metro card was pinged hours later, still in the system. And my question is, so if you've pinpointed that Metro card being swiped at another location, you have footage, right? Like, do you have footage of that? Because the picture they're showing him coming in. It looks like the picture they're showing is of him coming into the station, um, before the shooting. So let me go to, let me pull this up. Um, I'm gonna share the screen again. Share the screen. Share the screen. Chrome tab. Um, um, Let me pull this up. So yeah, because they have the picture of him entering the entering that station. and it shows him. Okay, here it is. Perfect. Check. Okay, so that's him coming in. And they're saying the Metro card linked to the suspected subway shooter was swiped in Brooklyn Tuesday night. Okay, yeah, and Tuesday night. So that's a significant amount of time because remember the shooting happened about 8:30. Um, Tuesday night, hours after the attack, leading officials to believe he may still have been using transit system. And so yeah, that's the point. If you have him, um, if you have him, if you have his Metro card at a station hours after the attack, then you should be able to have video to see if that was actually him that used the card, and then you should be able to basically track be able to find some idea of where he's at and where he was headed. Um, okay. What are the chances that Hulu or HBO Max, Showtime makes a documentary about this and releases it next month? I say the chances are better than average. Yeah, I say the chances are really, really good that they do that. Yeah, yeah. They're already descending on the talking to passengers, people who were there. What did you see? What happened? Yeah, so yeah, they're. The only question is the only question is who's going to get to it first. Who's actually going to make their documentary first. Uh, I want to thank everyone for coming to the stream. Yeah, so I'm gonna do some more checking, see what else is happening. Um, if there's any more information today, I might pop on a little bit later. Uh, just to talk about if we have anything major happen by later on. But yeah, thank everyone. I want to thank everyone for coming to the stream, checking out the stream, supporting the channel. Um, have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time.